My mom told me this story. Believe it or not, it was real. I know that most people don't believe in mysticism until they see something odd themselves. I want to emphasize that this is a true story I will take from my mom. This case happened in our small town in which I spent all my childhood. Opposite to our house, there used to live a small family: mom and dad, grandma, little brother and sister. They spent every evening home playing board games and watching movies. What the local residents noticed was that these kind people never refused to help anyone. All in all, they were perfect neighbors. They lived well until one fateful day. One day, their dad got very sick, and the doctors were helplessly throwing up their hands in the air. The strength every day left the fathers, and soon he died. How is it that a young father who had been healthy all his life went to church every Sunday and suddenly died so early? This question tormented all the relatives and residents of the town. The whole town mourned this man. It was a great loss for the whole neighborhood. But the son grieved the most and prayed for days for his father to return, so that he could see and hug him at least one more time. So months passed, and the son was still crying under his blanket every night, remembering all the good times he had with his father, times they would take walks in the local park, go fishing together, and afterward cook a delicious dinner for the whole family. For how dad used to beat mom at cards with a slide, smiling and winking at his son. So great was the boy's loss that one night in his room, sobbing, he went to the window and cried out loudly, "I want Daddy to come back." And then he fell on the floor and roared loudly. The whole family woke up from the intense screaming. Grandmother and mother ran into the room to check what had happened to the child, and then they calmed him down so that he could get a good night's rest. The younger sister, who was in the same room with the boy, was particularly frightened that night. After this incident, the girl began to notice something frightening in her brother's behavior. Not immediately. After about 2 days it started. The boy at night began to wake up and go to the window, looking out for a long time. After about 5 minutes of silence, it was as if he began to talk to someone, and so quietly, so as not to wake up the family. But the girl was awake and tried to watch his behavior and listen to his every word. The strange thing was that the boy had never been sleepwalking. On the contrary, he had been a very sound sleeper, at least until his father's death. He now began to get up in the middle of the night and go to the window as if mesmerized. The sister did not understand anything until one moment. On the second night, the boy still as quietly approaching the window after looking in it for about 10 minutes, said quite distinctly, "Hi, Daddy." The sister heard this phrase quickly, hid under the blanket, and closed her eyes. Shivering covered her whole body. Fear crept up quite suddenly and settled inside the girl. Who's Daddy? He's dead, she thought. After lying like that under the blanket for about 5 minutes without hearing a single rustle, she ventured into her room to see what was going on. Her brother was nowhere to be found, neither in bed nor near the window. Feeling a draft, the girl decided to check where it was coming from. Going to the window, she heard the creak of the front door in the hallway. Looking in that direction, the girl noticed that it was open. There was no doubt left. The boy had left the house under someone's influence. Sneaking up to the threshold of the house, the sister saw her brother. He was standing in the yard, talking quietly to someone under the window that led to the children's bedroom. The dark silhouette of the man next to the boy was clearly visible, even at night. Seeing this, the girl ran with fear to the parents' room, where her mother was sleeping, and started to wake her up. Mom quickly got out of bed at the same second, and together with her daughter, they ran outside. The girl was surprised when she saw neither the dark silhouette nor her brother. Walking into the children's room together, the family breathed a sigh of relief when they saw the boy sleeping peacefully in his bed. The next morning, Grandma and Mom demanded that the girl tell the whole truth about what had been going on with her brother for the past 2 days. Having fully heard the whole story from beginning to end, Mom and Grandma excitedly looked at each other, and in the same moment, they decided to go to church to tell all the details to the local priest. As it turned out, they didn't do it in vain. That same day, having lighted every window as well as the doors and the walls in the house, the priest gave strict orders to lock the boy in the furthest room and not let him out, no matter what. Lastly, the priest left the room reminding the family to keep an eye on the boy and not to leave the house themselves that night. It was beginning to get dark. With no memory of her son, his mother locked him in a room with no windows to protect him from the unknown that the night concealed. Hours passed, but nothing happened. Mom decided that it was necessary to spend the night together in one room, because even she was very afraid. She remembered the priest's words. Suddenly, there was a soft but distant knocking at the window in the children's bedroom, which could be heard even in the next room. A moment later, the knocking was more insistent. The guest clearly did not want to leave. Meanwhile, the grandmother began to recite prayers, thinking that she would send the creature away from the house. The boy began to bang and scratch furiously at the door, demanding to be let out. He didn't understand why he was being kept locked up and not allowed to go out to see his dad. Suddenly, there was a loud banging against the walls of the house. Big chairs and dishes fell to the floor. Something scary began to circle the house, as if looking for a door to go inside. The grandmother still prayed, changing her calm speech to a scream. The creature didn't like it and struck the walls of the house several more times. With no result, the creature screamed terribly. The scream was so strong that at that moment it seemed that the whole town woke up and began to listen to the silence of the night. The next morning, the sleepy boy was let out of the room. The family was very surprised when the boy said he did not remember anything that had happened during those 3 days. The priest decided to talk to the boy about his father's death. What he said that remains unknown. But after that conversation, he became cheerful again and stopped crying at night. Months later, the family sold the house and went to live somewhere else to start over. Brother and I grew up never remembered that incident again. One question remains: what would have happened if the boy had gone out of the house to the creature?